here are the top 5 moves the Chiefs should make to nail the 2025 offseason, with the last move being the most important. Let's get into it. So we all know tight end Travis Kelce has been going back and forth as far as retiring or playing. And I think this is going to fall either way. So I'm still going to keep it. I didn't find out till earlier this morning that Travis Kelce apparently, according to their GM, at the combine, that they are expecting him to play this season in 2025. But I still feel like this reigns nonetheless. Why is it such a big deal? If Travis Kelce retires after 10 years with the Chiefs, honestly, even if he decides to come back and they're able to reconstruct his contract, because the Chiefs are the 9th worst amount in cap space right now at $7.9 million. They are 9th worst in cap space coming into the offseason. Kelce's current 2025 cap hit is $19.8 million, with only about maybe $2.5 million being dead cap if he doesn't return. Retiring or, getting released pre-June 1st would have the Chiefs save about $17.2 million in cap space. Now, my guess would be that they've had this conversation and that Travis Kelce would be in line to potentially redo his contract to maybe give them the ability to still open up some additional cap space. So why is this important? I'm already going to go into move number 2. So the Chiefs need a legit, established, reliable wide receiver 1. This is also where the positive of what's going on with Travis Kelce matters. They can now go after sooner to be released. We all know he's probably going to be released in wide receiver Davante Adams. And I really feel like Davante Adams is a sneaky selection, and he really hasn't been talked about much when you talk about free agency here in the last few weeks. Not many people are talking about Davante Adams, and I think that is a big miss. I think it would be a big win for Mahomes and for the Chiefs altogether. So for all those who blow this off, you haven't been paying attention, okay? Let's keep in mind that Davante Adams in the last year has had virtually zero, in the last few years, you could say, have virtually zero good quarterbacks play between the Raiders and a washed-up Aaron Rodgers. Yet, even with terrible QB play and overall, fire dumpsters as organizations, in 2024, he had 85 receptions. That's this year, guys, 2024. 85 receptions. Well, I guess it was last year. 85 receptions, 1,063 yards, 8 touchdowns in 14 games. Okay? In 2023, in a full 17-game season, 103 receptions, 1,144 yards, 8 touchdowns. In 2022, another full 17 games. In the picture, he's reliable. 100 receptions, 1,516 yards, 14 touchdowns. Also, fun fact, in the last 5 years, he had only 1 year without at least 100 receptions. 2024 being the only one. And in that same amount of time, he has at least 1,000 yards receiving in each of those years. So Mahomes and Adams would be a huge win with this offseason to bring in a wide receiver 1 immediately in Davante Adams. And I definitely feel like it hasn't come out much, but I definitely feel like he would be interested because it immediately gives him the ability to go for a chip, which that's what everybody wants. And I feel like he's spent a lot of his time the last 4 or 5 years, not even getting close to that. So I think he'd be interested. The Chiefs should be interested. Patrick Mahomes should be interested. And I feel like they would if they find a way to get it done, that would be a huge win for the Chiefs because they desperately need it. So speaking of, we all saw the amount of pressure Patrick Mahomes was in, not just in the Super Bowl where it was extremely obvious, but throughout the regular season. So regular season, the Chiefs were 17th in sacks allowed, and they gave up 41. So while Joe Tooney is always a great player, has been a great player for a very long time. Does a great job of doing his best to keep his QB clean. You don't want to get used to him having to play left tackle. And I think we saw that in the Super Bowl, and it didn't go well. So how you fix that issue is to go into free agency with a very specific person in mind. And that specific person for me is left tackle Cam Robinson. Now, given his market value might be a little stiff, some would say. They have him on like a 3-year, $42 million contract, so the salary would be about $14 million a year. But again, you could look into the option of getting him to accept a slightly lower offer, with the ability to continually have the option of going to a Super Bowl, because essentially that's what every player in the NFL wants. They want to go to the Super Bowl. So the front office will have to get around their tight cap space for sure. But if they can pull it off, this will be for me, a 10 out of 10 move. You could very well still keep DJ Humphries to keep a depth piece at that position, but your starting left tackle should be, in my opinion, you should be aiming at bringing in Cam Robinson to help solidify that side of the O-line. Now moving on to not the last pick, but the second to last sneaky good pick up from the Chiefs. It would be bringing in free agent Chase Young, edge rusher. He's played in several different teams. As of recently, he was with the Saints. And without a not so great coaching setup in 2024, he's still managed 6 sacks, 31 tackles. 22 of those were solo tackles, 1 forced fumble. My concern is that the lack of salary, the salary space that they have, that their front office is going to have to find a way to make it work, since his current market value is about $17.5 million per year. But I definitely feel like their defensive line could definitely use him, even if he's just a gadget use as far as just blitzing. But he's still young. Like, I don't think a lot of people realize, like, Chase Young is still young. He's only, I believe, 25, 26 years old. If you can find a way to get him like a 2 or 3 year deal, maybe you can find the incentives to work around that to make the cap space work. But I do think this would be another sneaky pickup for them. And I think that's basically what has been coming up the last several places. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. They're all kind of sneaky choices, but they make huge impacts, and that's really what they need right now. So with no further ado, let's get into the fifth and final biggest move they need to make this offseason a overwhelming success. Is the Chiefs sit and pick with the 31st overall pick, or maybe go up if they have to, and they pick up Travis Kelce's soon-to-be replacement with tight end Colston Loveland out of Michigan. I think that will be a huge pickup. He has a lot of similarities to Travis Kelce. He would basically be a big wide receiver playing that same tight end role that Kelce plays. And I think if you're looking at, no matter what, whether Travis Kelce decides to retire or if he decides to still stay on and redo his contract, you're still going to need a replacement for him either way. So I'm sticking to it. You're looking at a Colston Loveland, and he's 6'5", 245 pounds. He has a similar body frame. And like I say, he's basically an oversized receiver. So in Kelce's final college season, he finished with 45 receptions, 722 yards, and 8 touchdowns. We're looking at Loveland finishes with 56 receptions, 582 yards, and 5 touchdowns. So scouts have listed him, basically has referred to him as a nasty route runner who creates separation with sudden breaks, savvy timing. And in my opinion, the Chiefs would most likely be the best fit for him because of their offensive scheme. This is where the biggest pickup of the offseason to come into the 2025 season, firing on all cylinders, is getting your next tight end for probably the next foreseeable future in tight end Colston Loveland out of Michigan.
This has been Between the Uprights. Football is life. The rest is just details.